You tired of making mundane, boring D&D characters? Are all your characters named John or Jacob? And you want something a little more Jingleheimer Schmidt? Well, you come to the right place. Today we're going to talk about ways to make your D&D characters less boring. Step 1. Do a little research. A lot of potential ideas for your backstory could come from doing just a little bit of research about that campaign setting. You could come from the area your campaign's starting in, or you could have come from a faraway land. And if you did come from a faraway land, consider what you did on your way here. Were you coming from that location just because you were looking for work? Were you coming from that location because you were being chased here by bandits or some other person that you might have upset? And on top of all of that, DMs usually will always appreciate a free plot hook to take advantage of. So if you were chased down by bandits, perhaps give that guy just a random name. Maybe it is just a John. That's completely fine, and let your DM kind of run wild with that. Number 2, consider doing a little bit of creative borrowing. Now, if you copy the story of the boy who lived verbatim for multiple characters, that might upset your DM and your other players a little bit.
Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. They're the same picture.
However, borrowing a little bit from a good story is a great technique just to get the juices flowing. And here's a little bit of an example. Perhaps your parents were wizards that were killed, similar to that boy who lived, but you went off to live with your lovely Aunt Josephine, who treated you extremely well. She never really took to magic, as it was the reason your parents were killed, and neither did you. Instead, you took up the sword and began tracking down those people from a very young age in an attempt to avenge those parents. Now see, we started with something very similar, built upon it, and made it something that was original and your own. Number 3, using dice tables. Now you may be so stuck that you just can't get anything on paper. Or it could even be that you're one of those people that has too many ideas just going crazy in your head.
I have an idea!
And you can't pick one. And if that's the case, I say look at some dice tables. Now, if you're that person that just can't get an idea out at all, find some tables online, roll a couple dice, and get something on paper. But if you're that person with too many ideas and they just can't pick one, make your own dice table. Write down all the ideas, pick the dice that's closest in number to how many ideas you have written down, and roll the dice. Let them decide. Number 4, talk to your dungeon master. This is an extremely underutilized tip, and I don't know if it's because players want to keep as much secrets from the DM as possible, or if it's just because they're intimidated by asking them questions. But asking your DM is a very solid idea, especially considering they write these entire campaigns. They make these adventures for you. They're obviously a creative person. And at least in my case, I'm always very happy to help my players with their characters and help them develop something that's fun and going to be enjoyable for everybody at the table, not just them. Now, number 5 is the what if. This is a timeless tip. This tip, the what if, has started many campaigns and entire game systems that aren't D&D. I guess just to think of an example, what if a blacksmith's family was taken in the night and he never found out what happened to them? What would you do if that happened? Very simple, you'd be looking for your family, but in this case, he's in D&D. He's gonna be using weapons and magic to accomplish this goal. Now, what if has he found any clues to those whereabouts? What if he found clues that a group of hobgoblins took them? Or what if he found clues that pointed towards a local noble? A what if is a very powerful way to get started taking something ordinary and making it extraordinary. So there you have it. 5 tips to create less boring D&D characters. And if you have a tip, leave it in the comments below to help other players and DMs, and also to help myself improve as well. Until next time, adventurers.